planning board introductions, please.
Mark Rich, board member.
Vince Messer, board member.
John DeLeo, chair.
Rick Lyles, Vice Chair.
Mike Hangy, board member.
And staff introductions, please.
Brittany Merrill, Assistant City Planner.
Robert Grant, Code Enforcement.
Sarah Devlin, Deputy City Manager.
Okay. Item number 2, adoption of the minutes from the February 5th, 2025 regular meeting. Anybody have any additions, deletions? If not, a motion?
Move to accept the minutes
Second.
of the whatever meeting.
All in favor?
Gotta move fast here.
Item number 3, final plan review of a minor subdivision entitled Lewis subdivision for applicant Skylar Lewis. The proposal is to construct a single-family dwelling on a lot with an existing duplex rental property. The subject property is approximately 1.1 acre lot located at 24 Grandview Drive, tax map 15, lot 21-1, in the neighborhood zone. Anybody here representing the applicant? Name.
I'm looking around, Skylar Lewis. I'm like looking around.
Okay. Probably one of your aliases. Just didn't ring.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think so. No, nobody's on Zoom, is there, Brittany? No.
Good.
Okay, you were here last month, why don't you just quickly go over what you're trying to do?
Just trying to build a single-family home, the 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and, really not much more to it.
Yeah, I mean, the I guess unique thing about it is actually a subdivision. I mean, you're not
Yeah.
here because your planning board doesn't deal with single-family houses.
Right.
So this is a lot that has a duplex on it. You're adding a third within
Correct.
5 years.
Yep,
Which the city then considers a subdivision.
yep.
And one thing I will do before we, unless you wanted to say anything else.
No.
We received a letter from Crystal Emerson, and Brittany sent it to me today. Now, I will note that it's kind of we're receiving it a month late, basically, because originally Ms. Emerson wrote this on February 5th, which was the same day as our meeting last month. And it was sent at 5:13 PM. Our meeting started at 5:30, so most likely Matt didn't see it that night. The next day, he got a job offer and is gone.
Convenient.
And so, I'll just get, and Ms. Emerson kind of sent a follow-up today, saying, will this email be read for comment at tonight's meeting? Actually, so I think what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna read it, because there are a couple questions I have on it, and you might want to answer some. It says, I am unable to attend the public hearing this evening, but wanted to ensure that I would send my comments and concerns regarding the requested subdivision and additional home to the 1.1 acre lot at 24 Grandview Road. I live at 30 Grandview, directly abutting this property, which has been turned into an Airbnb rental. The property has brought added traffic to our quiet neighborhood where many families walk with their spouses, children, and pets. Since construction and rental of 24 Grandview, our children have been told to shut up, quote unquote, while playing in our yard, and we have heard tenants arguing in the middle of the night. Our current subdivision has strict covenants that made us feel as if we would be protected from such property use, business rentals, etc. I'm concerned for the added traffic, the ungoverned Airbnb use where Ellsworth does not have clear guidance in place. The same owner is adding yet another duplex for Airbnb rentals just up the street from the lot. I'm also concerned how 24 Grandview, being a small 1.1 acre lot, has passed another soils test to add another unit, 3-bedroom house to it when it struggled to pass a single unit soil test. Please consider our neighborhood's desires on not allowing this additional subdivision unit be added to 24 Grandview Road until clear Airbnb short-term rental guidances exist and help keep our quaint neighborhood a local, small, safe community. Thank you, Crystal and Seth Emerson. Some of her points, I mean, we did discuss last month, in that there was many of those lots in that neighborhood were part of a subdivision built by the King Brothers, Associated Builders, Beechland Corporation, and presumably had restrictive covenants in it. The lot that you, 24, is that the one that?
Yes.
Yeah, 21, does not have those restrictions.
Correct.
I understand. But I think kind of one question I would have for staff is that, I mean, we generally get copies of deeds in the packets. Has the city actually verified that there are no restrictions on this lot to prevent an additional unit from being built?
Yes.
Okay.
I've looked at the deed. I'm not sure why Matt didn't put it in the packet last month, but,
I think we can guess.
yeah, well, maybe, but yeah. I've looked at them.
Okay. Okay. So I mean, Ms. Emerson brought that up, so I mean, it was discussed last week, but it wasn't, really proven that, but as long as you've,
No, yeah,
Read the-
I've had other members of the neighborhood have called asking about why he's allowed to do that and they're not. So I looked into it and I showed the residents examples of, here's his deed, and here's yours has covenants, because it's part of the subdivision. His is not part of that existing subdivision. He's
Right.
creating a new one for himself.
okay. I mean, if you want to make any comments about her other complaints, you can, or if you don't.
I mean, I don't have anything to say. I don't know.
I should have been at the dang table.
I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible.
Or you can just bring a chair up next to your husband, if that's fine.
You're the better speaker.
Okay, I'm Caitlin Lewis. Hello, everybody again. So I'll just comment on a couple things. The added traffic that she's stating. We walk that road every single day that we can with our dogs and our child in a stroller, and we do not see the added traffic that she's talking about. Like, we literally walk that almost every single day. There is no added traffic, any addition than what is already there in the neighborhood as far as having people come over, etc. If anything, we have less traffic at our properties than the rest of the people in the neighborhood. So I don't really know what she's trying to do there or make a point of, but it's not very, it doesn't add up to that. But the other comment, I will comment where she says that her kids were told to shut up. My husband and his friend were in the yard shoveling in the septic when her kids were outside playing, and her kids were yelling, "Go away, neighbors, we don't want you here." And so his friend jokingly was like, "Hey, shut it." Just a lighthearted thing that he was just doing. It wasn't like, "Hey, shut up." Like, it wasn't anything like that. So it kind of was taken out of context, but that's essentially
What was the
it.
timing on that?
Like, when was it?
This year?
Yeah, when was it? When did we build it? When did we build the duplex? You were
I mean, it
shoveling the
must have been,
septic.
like, 5
So,
months ago.
yeah.
6
Okay.
months
It
ago.
was before snow was on the ground. I think it was probably
It was
like
a while ago, but. When did you
September.
recent?
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
I mean, and one other point that she made, when it struggled to pass a single unit soils test.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
you
it-
comment on
Yeah,
that.
she-
obviously a soils test was done.
Yeah, it
passed.
never struggled. I think she just assumed because when the lady was doing the original septic, she walked over to her property to see where the well was, but that's like,
I
what?
think she's talking about where, you know, how it was laid out before.
No, I don't
It
think
couldn't
so.
pass how it was,
Maybe.
and they had to turn it.
Maybe, I don't know, I don't really know. Well, either way, I mean, obviously there's a professional like septic design on plan. I was just
Yeah. Right.
assuming, maybe she assumed because the original lady walked over to her property to see the distance from the well. So I didn't know. But before I bought the lot, the property was struggling to pass a soil test, so the people that I bought it from changed the layout of the property, made it 250 feet back instead of 200. So maybe that's what she was talking about. So the whole lot had to be like resurveyed,
Yeah,
so.
and I think that's, not that I know a lot
But
about
since
soils
it's-
tests, but
it's-
it's,
Nothing uncommon.
It has passed
Yes.
this.
and obviously had a soils test a good soils test for the duplex and now has a new one for the additional unit.
Yep.
Yeah, you know, I would just say that, you know, while, and I'm not, you know, talking about the validity of somebody's comments about kids being told to shut up or not, or whatever, but those aren't the kinds of things that we really necessarily act on in the purview of the planning board. I
Right.
mean, you know, that's just not in our rule book, so,
Right.
you know,
Yeah,
and that's as much to the person out there, wherever
Right.
she is, and you. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just kind of like, you know, resolve it. It's not our issue.
Right.
right, it's more like a neighborhood thing. It just kind of seems like we're kind of just being targeted, which is fine.
Say no more.
Yeah, but we're, you
Say
know,
no more.
we're under our regulations, so,
And again, I
You
mean, if
know.
you are planning on building another duplex on a lot that's allowed, it
yeah,
doesn't concern us,
yeah. No.
unless you added a third.
How is this home that you're adding going to be used? Is it for residential purposes or is it?
Right this
Air-
second, it's undecided. Because we live right across the road, and the house that we're in now, we kind of, is modular, and so this house that we're building will be a stick build. And so right now, we're undecided on if we're gonna move across the street and move into it, or if it's going to be a rental. So that's why we proposed it as a rental, just so that everything was kind of out in the open. But as of right now, it's undecided. Yeah.
So you would consider not rental as Airbnb in this case, or do I understand that?
Well, if we do rent it, it will probably be on Airbnb.
Okay.
But if we don't rent it, and we would just move into it, essentially, is what it would be. Yeah. But we do short-term and long-term rentals. Like, we do short-term on Airbnb, and then if people want to stay for more than a month, which is considered the long-term, then they contact us and ask if it, like, we allow that. It's not all just short-term. It just all depends on, like, if it works out, essentially.
And just for my own curiosity, what is the nature of the covenants that are involved here? I mean, some covenants they're there, but they're not actually legal.
Oh, I can't speak to the legality of it, I would assume, but the subdivision that their lot is not a part of, that
Right.
abuts it, they can't have a duplex in there, it's all single family only.
So is that consistent with our zoning, or is that something they've added
Well,
on top of our
the
zoning?
covenants would trump the zoning, if they agree when they buy the lot not to do something through a covenant, then they have to abide by that.
And the
But
covenants
we
is
now
stricter
allow
for the
auxiliary
zoning.
units.
Yes, but a duplex is not an auxiliary.
But their covenants is stricter than the zoning.
Okay.
Yeah, those covenants are strict.
I mean, we've seen some recent subdivisions that they've included restrictive covenants that can't have a home business there, you know, you can't have unregistered vehicle in a dooryard. I
But
mean, a developer can put in pretty much anything they want as a restrictive covenant. You know, if it's too restrictive, then people may not want to buy it, but.
Well, but some covenants are illegal. I mean, you know, there used to be covenants that you couldn't sell to African Americans, right? You know, and so obviously, there are some covenants that aren't even enforceable, is my point.
Yeah, but
So-
there's nothing like that on those covenants.
Well, no, I didn't think there was, that was just you know,
Yeah,
I think some subdivisions include that has to be a certain minimum square footage.
Yep.
You can't have.
And those stand?
Yep, you can't have mobile homes or modular homes.
yeah.
Some subdivisions requires outside light bulbs to be of certain lumens.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's true.
Which, that is part of like the subdivision where we live across the street, 1,200 square foot minimum, like, can't rent them out. But like, the houses, obviously where we're building, we could put farm animals and trailers and really like lower the value of the neighborhood, but we obviously wouldn't do that. So we're building like nice homes, that's why I just think it's funny that people are really upset.
So
'cause
I'm just curious, is the house you're currently living in
Part of the subdivision?
part of the King subdivision, or was it?
It is.
Yep.
Okay.
And it did allow for modulars or double wides.
Yep, yep. Well, not
The subdivision,
double wide.
modulars, not double
Modulars,
wides.
yeah, you can't have double
Yeah, you
wides.
can't have farm animals or like anything like
Yeah.
that. Registered vehicles, kind of like what you guys were saying.
Yep. Can't run a business out of your house. Those
Any
kinds of
other-
things.
Yeah, I was reading the you know,
Soils
basically.
test.
Soils test, whatever. And the design, and it talked about the design of the system, you know, the septic system and whatever. And it said that you were not allowed to have, or it was not designed for backwash from water softener, vehicular load, or garbage disposal. Now, I suspect you're not gonna be running your cars back and forth over it, so that, I wasn't all that interested. But are you aware of these other restrictions or
Yes.
issues?
Yep.
And you're not gonna do garbage disposal, whatever?
Correct.
And that would be a code question
Yeah, it would be
anyway, right?
when we go to do an occupancy, we would check to see if there's a water softener or a garbage disposal, and they
Okay,
can't
okay.
have, they can't have.
So that's the
those.
way that's handled.
If they put one in after I leave,
No, I get that,
you know,
right,
but
yeah.
it which, you know, it does happen, believe it or not.
Okay, oh, no, I have no difficulty believing that at all. Sometimes they even, people even change uses in
Oh,
general,
yeah.
so, yeah. Okay, thanks.
Anything else?
That's it, I got nothing else.
Anything else from staff? I'll open the public hearing, and unless there's a lady in the back. Okay, then I'll close the public hearing.
Just here because we're so interesting, is that's why you're here, okay.
Is there a motion?
Sure, motion to accept the final plan of the minor subdivision entitled Lewis subdivision for applicant Skylar Lewis.
Is there a second?
Second?
All in favor? You're all set?
Thank you.
Certainly.
All done.
Thank you.
Thanks for stopping by.
We'll move on to staff comments.
Yeah, no, all right, there.
Do you wanna say anything, or I'm gonna give an update on the call?
I don't know.
Like who you are and why you're sitting there.
Sure.
Although we do know that, but even still, for the record.
Well, thank you. Yes, as I mentioned, I'm Sarah Devlin. I'm the Deputy City Manager. I am here tonight because with Matt's departure, and with the Economic Development departure, there's been kind of a void in that department. So I have a planning background. I have a master's in community planning and development. So it was kind of a natural fit for me to help support the staff and make sure that nothing kind of falls through the cracks, although I don't think anything will. So I thought it would be good to come tonight to what was promised to be a smooth planning board meeting, which it was. You did not disappoint. But and also let you know that we will be posting the planner position probably next week and start that process. And if any of you want to be involved in the hiring, just let me know. We can discuss what role you can play and hopefully get a well-qualified applicant in to fill that position.
Will
But
you
in the
be
meantime,
applying for it?
am I applying for it? No, I'm happy where I'm at right now. But in the meantime, if you have any planning questions or just want to talk to me about any city business in general, please don't hesitate to stop in and see me or email me at sdevlin, the usual, at ellsworthmaine.gov. I think that's it.
Actually, that was gonna be, my first question is about the city advertising for a new planner. So I'm glad to hear that they're not sitting on that. As we move forward though, how do you anticipate, I mean, tonight's was probably one of the quickest, easiest meetings we've had. But, and I don't know what's in the, you know, developers are always talking to the city, and recently we approved some huge projects. I mean, what is, you know, like say somebody else comes in with a 150 unit subdivision, brings to the city. How is the planning department gonna handle that?
Well, you answer that.
You answer.
I know she can answer
Wait,
that.
pass that on down the line, I like that.
I volunteer. If it's something that we, as the staff doesn't feel comfortable reviewing, we can have, farm it out to a consultant to review.
I mean, and I was thinking along the same lines, I mean, has the city, has Mr. Pierce actually discussed that with, you know, consultants to have someone on board? 'Cause, I mean, you never know, I mean, somebody may appear tomorrow with a huge project, and developers oftentimes are very
Go ahead, you can
What's
say
the
it.
word you're gonna use?
You can say it.
I'm ready for this.
Aggressive.
Yes.
Aggressive.
Ooh, nice, okay.
You know, we're here, you know, what do we need to get this project in? Okay, when's the next meeting we can get our preliminary planning? And if the city doesn't have somebody on board, or at least lined up, you know, potentially, you're gonna delay a developer's project for months.
I don't think there's been any contact made with any specific consultants to help assist with that scenario. But I think that I know I have some in my Rolodex that I would pick from to assist, but Charlie and I can put our heads together and think about that and start making some calls just to say, hey, in the event that this should happen, would you be available? But you're right. I mean, I don't anticipate it sitting right here, but you never know what could happen. Hopefully, we'll have somebody on board pretty quick. I know that the economic development position was posted, and we received a lot of qualified applicants. So I think the hiring market has turned around and is in our favor. So hopefully, we'll receive some good applicants that we can get onboarded quickly. But we certainly can explore that option. So I'll talk to Charlie about that.
Would it be a conflict of interest to use Matt as a consultant?
Or the Musson Group more generally?
No, I don't believe so. And Matt and I have talked about that before he left, that if we needed help in any way. So no, I don't believe so. And I can talk to Charlie about that. But I don't think a conflict exists.
There might be an issue ethically with, if Matt's working off the books as a consultant, that would be fine, but maybe with what the Muslim Group does, it might be an issue.
Yeah, I would have to see if they offer that service. If they don't offer that service, then yeah, we wouldn't just hire Matt to do it. But if they offer that service, I don't think it would be an issue.
It seems like something that could be worked out. We have openings on the planning board. I guess the question is, how's that going?
We have not received any applicants for.
Oh, I
new
thought we had a
applicants.
couple.
There are 2, I believe. I have to find those.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I need to find them wherever Matt had them.
Ah, okay.
But we haven't received any new ones, but we are still advertising and pushing it to see if we can find someone.
Okay.
But if you know of anyone, have them up.
I don't need a job, but thanks.
I think you can find him. I seem to remember Matt saying that one person he had talked to had a federal job, which may not now exist, locally at Acadia, I think. I'm not 100% sure of that, but yeah, if you can get hold of Matt and see where that paperwork is, you know.
Yep. I think it's saved somewhere, but I'll
Because, those positions have been open for quite a while, and we haven't had any trouble, but I can imagine, with
Busy season.
one bad cold or vacation, and we're kind of screwed, because there's just nobody in the bullpen, so to speak.
They're just, I don't know what the situation was, but when I came on the board, there was another gentleman, I believe was a physician, that was.
He's gone.
He's
Was
gone.
gone like gone?
Gone.
Yes.
Never mind.
Yes,
Yes,
He's
good,
gone.
good point.
not one to discuss either.
Yeah. And the other thing was that there was a workshop, the weed workshop was planned and then delayed, and I
That
mean,
was delayed again.
I have friends that want to know. right,
It's
so.
been pushed until April or May.
Okay.
After budget season.
And that's okay with everybody?
Well, no, we want more recreational weed.
It's
I
coming.
didn't say.
This is a consumer speaking now, I think.
But that will be readdressed, and it's been
Okay.
pushed till. end
Who's in charge of
April,
that
May.
effort?
Well, it was Matt.
It's a collective staff.
It's kind of a collective effort right now with myself and Robert and Brittany. Staff is working behind the scenes right now on gathering some data, doing some maps, things like that. We've worked with one of our counselors who's going to kind of help take point on this. So while it did get pushed off because of a conflict with scheduling, I think there's still work that's being done to maybe have a more robust conversation
Yeah.
in April.
I mean, the state has a wealth of information about, standard ordinances and all that kind of stuff. I mean, there was a training about that, and those guys were really, they seemed to have a lot of stuff ready to go.
It's
So I don't
more-
know, but none of you all went, right?
I did a webinar training, so. we
Okay,
have
maybe
some
that might have
notes.
been the same, I'm not sure. Anyway, there are samples out there, lots of other cities that have already done it, samples of the ordinance.
Does that mean Friday?
I knew you were excited. Anyway, so I would suggest that you track that down. And I think, is John Stein the one you were talking about in terms of the council?
No, Patrick.
Oh, Patrick? Okay. Because John was, I think, in on some of the trainings or whatever we had.
Yes, he was. So I think my focus would be on how we could benefit the city through the permitting process. Because that's the only way we're going to potentially benefit by opening this up, the recreational market.
I mean, I would,
And this should be pretty more, this should be more straightforward than some, because they're not talking about manufacturing and, which is an interesting word for growing something, but that's beside the point. But, you know, I mean, this is the simplest possible case, I think, for dealing with,
I mean, I think the meeting got moved from March to April because Pat Lyons was not available.
Okay.
They wanted Pat, whereas his expertise is.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah.
Which is fine, but,
Oh, no, I
Yeah.
don't take that to mean I didn't think Patrick was good.
I mean,
He's good.
I would hope, and I realize it's, you know, budget season and they're very busy, but I would hope that, I mean, the initial meeting is gonna be between the council and the planning board, basically, and staff, to basically get the council's input. I mean, I hope that the budget season will not push that workshop 2 or 3 months out in the future. Because keep in mind, I mean, this was passed at referendum in November. And I had to remind former staff that, hey, what are we doing on it? And nothing ever happened. And now we're here, the juncture of, well, maybe it's gonna get delayed another 2 or 3 months.
Just say, I know before I left inspector's position, I know that the fire marshal's office and MBOIA had resources for individuals that were doing that information. There's a wealth of information just between those two groups of people. Because I know, just before I left, the state adopted in NFPA 1 the issue concerning what you're talking about. There's a specific chapter in NFPA 1 for that, and that was adopted by the state. And both MBOIA, which has a representative in the fire marshal's office, and the fire marshal's office have contacts and information for that, so however you want to deal with it.
Because, I mean, I think the workshop, I mean, we're just looking at the council for some guidelines, because then the nitty-gritty is gonna take place with the board and the staff. And I'm sure the council already has ideas of what they want and what they don't want. I mean, they've already had some discussion, either public or private, that, I mean, talking about the, you know, the number of stores being allowed or where they're gonna be allowed. So, like I say, hopefully, we don't delay that workshop, you know, for a couple of months, when not a whole lot, probably of substance are gonna be discussed at that. I mean, all the big pile of work gonna happen after that.
I don't think that's the intent. I think March is just kind of loaded with budget. Every week, there's budget workshops into April, but I think we could probably get something on the books in April, so we have something scheduled, so it's not, you know, oh, we didn't do it in April, now it's in May. I'll work with Charlie to get something scheduled in April.
Yeah, I mean, the point is that this does not seem like it would require days and days and days of deliberation and discussion and so forth. I mean, it's really pretty straightforward. The fire marshal, certainly, that had come up in the training, whatever it was, but I'm not sure that the fire marshal, well, it's not the same level of issue, given that there's no manufacturing and so
Correct.
forth.
However, it does cover sales, you know,
Okay, that same stuff,
recreation.
okay.
It's in that specific code, issue.
Okay,
So,
okay.
Yeah, because a lot of the details, I mean, not that they've worked them out for Ellsworth, but they've been worked out in other towns and cities.
Exactly.
And
Yeah. You know, how
other
close to a
towns have the
school or
ordinances.
whatever.
MMA, I'm sure, has got a ton of information. They may very well have copies of different towns or cities' ordinances. So, I mean, it's not as if we have to reinvent the wheel.
Exactly.
That's not the intention.
No, I think it's largely where do we want to have them, how many do we want to have, and how are we going to regulate it?
Right.
That's the three questions that
Yep.
are on the table.
But I think that probably the key is to check with Pat Lyons, and see when he's available.
Would we be doing the regulation, or would it be the state? Wouldn't it be the state?
Well, if we want to put like a annual renewal for their license, their business license, that would be part of the regulation.
Okay.
And what the price tag looks like and all that stuff.
Substantial.
Yeah, or then there's other, like we've talked about, you know, what we're gonna do for, if they're gonna build a new building, what the property taxes are gonna look like for that. There's other things there that I'm not really the one to give the full breakdown on, but.
Anything else from staff? Or-
Just a quick update on the comp plan. We heard back from the state. They found 4 missing items, but they're easy fixes. Barry Dunn's on it. We'll resubmit before the deadline in July, and that should be good.
Right?
Awesome.
And we'll need to be moving, I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff that plan specifies, that we ought to do this, you ought to do that. And the biggest one that affects us is, in essence, redoing the land use ordinance material. And so, you know, I would really like to see some sort of planning, if you would, to do that, as opposed to waiting till June when we get the final thing back from the state and saying, okay, we'll think about that over the next couple of months. You know, I think that we need to move forward quickly. The other thing is that there was a suggestion about the comp plan with a bazillion different recommendations and so forth, that someone somehow was going to be keeping track of progress and so forth. And, you know, I think there needs to be some thought given either to this office and what the role of the planning board might be in keeping track of that. I mean, you know, one thing would be a giant spreadsheet with little boxes you check off, or just.
You volunteering?
I'll loan you my copy of Excel, if it helps.
Any other info on when they're gonna back to housing study? Where do that
That's
stand?
still on hold right now, but it's in the works.
Okay, a lot of stuff out there in the not too distant future,
Waiting to be done.
waiting to be done, so. Just saying.
Yeah, that's why we really want to get the job posted and get someone in here to,
Hit the ground running.
yeah.
Good words.
Somebody wanna give a motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjournment? Adjourn?
All in favor? Okay.